This is a patron-only video at patreon.com/Kalani World Drum Club. Thanks for being a patron. So I wanted to give you all a little bit extra and talk about a couple things. One is some alternatives to playing the caxixi. In the YouTube video I just did, I talked about doing the steady beat with the caxixi while you're playing a Dundun pattern like this. Basic. Right, so that's fine. If you want to spice things up a little and challenge yourself a little bit, you could have a block, and I've talked about the kind of wood block or temple block sound like this. This is a basic temple block, tycoon temple block, and I'm putting it on some foam over here. Let me pull this over so you can see it a little. See that egg crate foam? So I'm going to have it sitting on that, and this stuff is great. It works really well if you just want to throw sticks or something and you don't want them to roll off. I'm using a music stand as a little table, and I can put things there with that egg crate foam and everything just stays where it is. So I love that, and I don't have to put it on and off of a stand. I can just pull things out and stick it on there. Then I'm using a Pex Tubing Stick, and this comes from the video I made called Super Sticks. I'm also going to be using another Pex stick here in a second for the Dundun, but I wanted to focus on playing a, let's call it, it's like a ride pattern, or playing what would be like a bell pattern or a creen. So the sound is more like the creen, which is the log drum that goes with the ensemble in West African drumming, but we're going to use it sort of as a bell pattern. Now, why would we want to have this sound instead of a bell? There could be a couple reasons. One, you may not want to have metal beaters in the environment, like if it's a drum circle or something, or even a drum class. Metal beaters are a little risky, especially with kids, because, or I'm just going to say people who are inexperienced and unfamiliar, because why? They don't know. They don't know that you're not supposed to hit a djembe with a stick, or a dundun. You're not supposed to hit it with a metal. You know, people just don't know, and it's not their fault. But if you just hand people metal beaters, like triangle beaters or metal beaters, they're going to try to play different things unless you explain all that and model it, and you take them through the process of familiarizing them with that, and then it's okay. But at first, Pex tubing. So that saves you. Also, it saves your ears. Let's remember that a lot of these instruments, including the bells, all these instruments, they're outdoor instruments. They're played outside. That's kind of how they evolved in an outdoor setting. Now, when we bring those instruments indoors, we have different issues we have to deal with. It'd be like bringing drum and bugle corps inside, right? It's not designed for that. So if you do that, you have to make some modifications, and one of those would be substituting the instrument or substituting a stick, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a second on the Dunduns. But using a softer stick, plastic sticks, softer instrument, just change some things so you're not blasting your eardrums out. All right, nobody wants to do that. So Pex stick, little wood block, temple block sound, and then I can challenge myself, or the students can challenge themselves to play a certain pattern, or even improvise a little ride pattern, let's call it, on that while you play the Dundun. All right, so here's what that sounds like. I'm going to vary what I'm playing a little bit as I play this cuckoo rhythm from the 5 grounding patterns for djembe. All right, so let's listen to the straight pattern first. All right, that's super grounding. I could double up on the block sound or bell sound. I was skipping ahead there. I went to the next thing. The next thing is playing a syncopated pattern that kind of matches what I'm doing on the Dundun a little bit more. So it's responsive to the Dundun. It's not just a static, dat, 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 dat. And that would sound something like this. I'm playing 1, 1, 1. right, super fun. So that applies to any of the patterns. You can have kind of just a little riding pattern, let's call it, ride pattern. All right, now for the Dundun part, another way that you can help manage or mitigate any volume issues, dynamic issues, sound level issues, is by using a different kind of stick. Now this, even though it looks bigger, it's a hollow stick. It's also from Pex Tubing, and this is my Dundun stick, or my bass drum stick. You can see that it's about, here we go. Well, you can see it in both pictures. It's about the same length, a little bit longer than the Dundun stick, just a tiny bit longer. But listen to the sound difference. You know, you would think this would be louder, but it's not. So here's the wooden stick, which is also heavier. Now the Pex. Yeah. Not as nice a sound. You know, it's not as pretty, it's not as full. That's okay. Not everything has to be, you know, the best sound if you're going for something else, which is in this case quieter, nicer, better for indoors. So that's the goal. So that's why we would use this. Now you could also, what I like about these is they're lighter, so you know they're not going to hurt people if they fly out of a hand, and you can kind of dig in, you know, and you're not going to increase the volume a lot. So whether you're playing this, or you're playing the seke or the caxixi, now I can cheat a little, and I can do almost like a rim shot. I can go really flat on the head, and I can get a little more volume out of it. But most people are not going to have that technique, and you don't need to train people to do that because it's also risky to hit the edge of the drum. You don't want to dent or damage the edge, the rim of a wooden drum, which you could with a wooden stick. All right, so that's what I have for you guys. Of course, you've got access to the notation, so you can get that, and then you can try playing the Dundun with either the block or a bell or the caxixi, whatever you want to do. You can also, of course, use ankle bells and play the block. So if you're tapping your foot, you know, just put a rattle or some bells on there. A lot of people do that. Or play a pedal. You know, you can have a pedal with a cowbell or a block or whatever, shakere, hi-hat, anything like that, to provide the steady beat. And then you've got the auxiliary percussion, hand percussion instrument, and then the Dundun, and you know that's kind of like your world drumming drum set role. Whether you're grounding the group or you want to demonstrate patterns for the group, or you could have your group synchronizing with any one of the patterns that you're playing as the leader and as the provider of the model for them to follow. All right, or just do this at a jam session. You know, you could play with some friends and do a couple, 2 or 3 of these different parts and fill out the percussion so you're kind of your own percussion section. All right, thanks for being a patron. That's all. Go out and make some great music. I'll see you guys soon in another lesson.